You're watching CSTV, the voice of American business. This is American Spotlight. American Spotlight is a consortium of television programs saluting the business of American business. American Spotlight showcases the inner workings of successful and diligent American enterprise and its effect on the quality of American life. This program highlights those people who make American business what it is today. From the business centers of the USA, this is American Spotlight. The hot dog has not changed in appearance or shape for more than 500 years, but did you ever wonder what's in a hot dog? These days, all you have to do is simply read the label on a package of hot dogs to get the full story on what's inside. You see, following World War II, the USDA began imposing strict labeling requirements and inspection systems on all canning and food processing industries. More recently, in response to health concerns, hot dogs have become leaner than ever. In fact, even leaner and higher in protein than choice beefsteak. One of the largest makers of hot dogs in New England is Jordan's Fine Meat Products of Portland, Maine. Later in our program, we'll learn more about America's favorite sausage when we go on location to Jordan's headquarters to meet the company's chairman and chief executive officer, Joseph Chet Jordan, and president and treasurer, Joseph G. Kelly, Jr., our guest today on American Spotlight. First, though, let's look at Jordan's meat processing division. As their name implies, Jordan's Fine Meat Products are not limited to just hot dogs. Among meat processors, Jordan's has one of the largest product lines in the nation with some 100 different items. In addition, Jordan's Foodservice division distributes these products plus some 6,000 other items across New England. As correspondent Van King learned, it all got started nearly 80 years ago when Joseph Jordan Sr. came to America from Germany.
In 1913, Joseph Jordan was only 17 years old when he came to this country to be an apprentice sausage maker. He gained valuable experience working for Maine's largest sausage manufacturer of the day. But after 14 years in the business, Joe and his wife Emma decided to strike out on their own. They founded Jordan's Fine Meat Products in 1927. The couple worked as a team over the years as they built their business and their family of 7 children. It was not uncommon for Joe to sleep at the plant at night to watch over the cooking and smoking of the sausages that Emma helped him make that day. Their hard work paid off. Just 10 years after striking out on his own, Joe was able to purchase the business of his former employer. Ever since, Jordan's has had the distinction of being Maine's largest sausage manufacturer. Back in the early days, a fleet of Model T trucks were used to deliver Jordan's meats to local markets in the Portland, Maine area. Today, however, those Model Ts couldn't possibly keep up with the distribution demands of this company. Jordan meats are now distributed throughout New England and upstate New York. They've even branched into markets as far away as Florida, New Orleans, and Detroit. During peak season, Jordan's produces 2 million hot dogs per week. Their Frankmobile and Model T are kept busy throughout the summer, serving up dogs at food fairs and ball games. But their product line includes much more than Frankfurters. Jordan's is the only company to make a fully cooked Italian sausage, and only one of a few to produce sausages and hot dogs with natural casings. They make everything from bologna to kielbasa, from roast beef and ham to fresh pork sausage. Regional and national supermarket chains are counted among the 100 retailers and distributors of Jordan's meats. Because their customers are located in regions with different socioeconomic and ethnic groups, Jordan's is constantly adding to or revising its product mix. To describe a recent successful addition is Jordan's Vice President, Mike Maselli.
Vacuum packaged deli slice meats is what we're calling this new product line for Jordan's. The retailers are telling us that they're seeing anywhere from 10 to 25% increase in their deli sales, and they're attributing a lot of that increase to this product line. One of our largest retail accounts asked us in conjunction with them to develop a vacuum packaged deli slice line. Originally we started with about 10 deli items, and in the past year we've probably expanded that to 25 different items. The packaging of the product is very generic. And it's perceived that it is sliced at the local deli. This program has really helped us open up different market areas throughout the country, and basically east of the Mississippi.
Sanitation is vital to any food processing operation, and Jordan's is no exception to that rule. Every day, the entire plant is shut down for an 8-hour shift of cleaning and sanitation duties. Then, before operations can start up again, the plant undergoes a complete inspection from top to bottom. All inspection is performed under the watchful eye of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which maintains an office at the plant. The USDA has empowered Jordan's lab and quality control personnel to operate as an independent group within the organization. If necessary, the lab personnel have the power to shut down operations for closer investigation. Jordan's quality control manager is Arnie Schussler.
I would say our main goals are probably to have a food product, or actually in this case a meat product, that is the safest money can buy. And certainly if it's the safe, it's going to be of the highest quality as well. We have a total quality control program that's approved by the USDA, and in that program we have to set standards for each critical control point that we have in our process. And at each critical control point we make observations and measurements, and that's where the laboratory comes in.
The Total Quality Control Program also helps ensure a longer shelf life for the products.
We started out a few years ago with shelf life that was pretty typical of the industry, which is somewhere around 30 days or so for a vacuum product. Now we have a shelf life that's in excess of 60 days, which is as good as any of the large companies that you might find in this. And that helps the consumer to know and have confidence that the product's going to last when they get it home and put it in the refrigerator.
The USDA requires that the fat content of a hot dog cannot exceed 30%. So just what goes into a hot dog? Well, for one thing, there are no fillers or non-meat products added to Jordan's Frankfurters. That, according to Director of Plant Operations, Bruce Dunphy.
We use mostly fresh cuts of lean pork, beef, chicken from all USDA-approved plants. These plants, there's only a select few of plants that we use today that have met our total quality control standards.
The recipe used by Jordan's has been handed down from generation to generation. Today, computerized formulation is used to ensure consistency from batch to batch. In addition, Jordan's makes use of the latest forms of production equipment, from mixing and grinding to the casing operation, and from cooking to final packaging. Over the years, even though some of the art has been lost to science, much of the process must still be done by hand. One of Jordan's biggest sellers is a hot dog in a natural casing, which is uncommon on the market largely because it requires more work than the typical skinless hot dog.
Jordan's has been known for years as a natural casing company. Chet Jordan's father brought the recipes over from Europe with him in the early years, and we've been using those same formulas for over 60 years. Making natural casing hot dogs is an art because there's a lot of labor involved in this product, where it only takes 2 people to make 100,000 pounds of skinless hot dogs a week, whereas it may take 20 people to make that same 100,000 pounds of natural casing hot dogs a week. The true test of a natural casing hot dog is in the bite. When you take a bite, those natural juices come right out and the real snap to the hot dog.
The preparation and cooking of solid meat products such as hams, corned beef, and pastrami is highly automated and closely monitored. Bruce Dunphy describes a few techniques used here.
Our goals in our solid meat products, corned beef and roast beef, is to make a lean, consistent product for the consumer. We have trimmed all the fats off the meat so we have a visually 100% lean product. We inject the meats to ensure that we have uniform flavor throughout the meat. We've massaged it with a vacuum massager to make sure that we have uniform tenderness throughout the meats. We're cooking in a vacuum to ensure that the product is kept sanitary all the time. So once we've processed the meat, it's always under vacuum and in a cryovac package, and ensures a good, wholesome, clean product to our customers.
Jordan's happens to be one of the 100 largest meat processing companies in the country. But that's only half of what they do. The other half is food service distribution, and among the 2,000 food distributors in the United States, Jordan's is number 46. In our next report, we'll learn more about the sophisticated techniques used by Jordan's that have helped them become a force in food distribution. Now, though, we go on location to Portland, Maine to meet the leaders of Jordan's with correspondent Van King.
Thanks. Joining us from Jordan's headquarters in downtown Portland is Joseph Chet Jordan, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, and Joseph G. Kelly Jr., President and Treasurer. Now, Chet, during the peak summer months from Memorial Day to Labor Day, Americans eat something like 5 billion hot dogs. Why such a broad appeal?
It's funny, Van. I'm even surprised you'd ask that question because, you know, hot dogs are like mother's apple pie. And I think the main reason is, first, they're good. People like them. They're very convenient. They can be used for a main meal or a hot dog, a snack food, whatever. But they're universally. We have a saying around here that the dog is the noblest of animals. The hot dog is the noblest of dogs. It feeds the hand that bites it. We think and we accept and know that the hot dogs are very popular.
And they're also affordable.
They certainly are, because there's no waste, absolutely no waste. If you put a pound of hot dogs on a grill, you serve a pound of hot dogs. There's no shrink, there's no bone, there's no fat to waste. You serve what you buy.
Now, Chet, many people perceive the hot dog to be a form of junk food. Is that a fair assessment?
You can imagine how that question bothers me. We certainly don't consider hot dog a junk food. I suppose, factually, to begin with, I could tell you the hot dog is higher in protein than a choice beefsteak. That might surprise most people, but hot dogs are good for you.
They're nutritionally sound, then?
Absolutely.
Well, Joe, what about the fat content in hot dogs? I know that's a concern to some American consumers. What are you doing to address that?
The USDA has, the United States Department of Agriculture has standards of putting fat in a hot dog of 30%. We actually formulate ours to a lesser percentage than that. We buy muscle meats and use them in the hot dogs that are up to 90% lean content. So that the hot dogs actually are much less fat content than is to the converse of what Chet just said about the protein in a steak. There's actually less fat in a hot dog than there is in a choice beef steak.
People might say, well, why do you use, for example, we use 27% fat in most of our formulations. Why do you use any fat? Truthfully, if you cut the fat too much, the product would be very unappealing, be dry. It wouldn't taste good. So a certain amount of fat is required.
Joe, does the fluctuation of the American economy affect your business?
We see in a soft economy that it does tend to build up the meat business, because people tend to eat more meals at home instead of going out to the restaurants and quite so much. And as they eat more meals at home, they eat hot dogs, they eat our other processed meats, hams and roast beefs and so forth that they buy in the grocery store. And it does have a favorable effect on our business.
Well, given the tremendous sales of hot dogs during the summer months, does that seasonality affect your business?
We do truly have a seasonality, and we have a double whammy to some degree in northern New England here, where it's a very tourist-oriented. One is that during the summer months, people use the hot dog as a way to cook out on the grill and cook a lot of them outdoors. And also, with a tremendous amount of tourists that come into northern New England in the summertime, the population dramatically increases and gives us that many more people that can consume our products.
Now, Chet, you've been part of this company since you were a young boy, and you've seen it grow through several different stages. What lies ahead for Jordan's?
We're so excited about the future, and it bothers me personally that I'm getting along to 64 now. The time is winding down, and I'm as enthusiastic as I was when I was 25, and we can see great opportunities for expansion. Our main effort now is to build a management team to carry on, and we've been very successful at that so far, and they're hungry for the opportunity and the responsibility that entails.
Now, with more and more national brands buying up the smaller producers, do you feel the pressure to sell out to the big boys, or perhaps to take your own products nationally?
Our management team that Chet was just alluding to obviously wants to be part of a bigger company, and that's one of the reasons why we've been growing as dramatically as we have in the recent years. But we think that the consolidation needs to take place on a regional basis, because regional companies can react to the taste and needs and things that people like on a regional basis better than they can on the cookie cutter products that are produced by a lot of the national companies. We have expanded somewhat geographically. We're into Florida now, and we're filling in some of the areas in between.
We're considered a small company, and yet some of our competitors wouldn't consider us small. But we honestly feel it's necessary because of the economic pressures. And it bothers us personally because we all basically believe in the merits of the family farm, if you will, and the small business. But I think it's necessary to grow. Even though small business appeals to us for a lot of reasons, family business appeal. It's just necessary to grow, to exist. We're being pushed in two ways. One, the economic pressures that force expansion. The other is from beneath, from within. Our own employees want opportunities, and the only way to provide them is to grow.
Thanks, gentlemen. We'll have the opportunity to talk again later. Now it's time to switch gears and learn about another aspect of Jordan's business.
America is credited with having the most sophisticated food distribution system in the world. Computer technology has done much to advance food distribution by tracking such things as inventory, deliveries, purchasing forecasts, even dietary and nutritional information. As one of the largest food distributors in New England, Jordan's Foodservice division delivers more than 6,000 different products to some 5,500 customers. A task that you and I would consider a logistical nightmare is all in a day's work for the folks at Jordan's.
Good afternoon, Jordan's Foods.
Things can get quite hectic when on a daily basis we're shipping and receiving in excess of 10 to 12,000 cases.
The salesmen, need their product into their customers as fast as they can get it also. Keep them, stocked up.
Around here, we don't have a light day. It's always a busy day.
Well, as you can see, nothing stays in one place too long in a distribution warehouse. For literally thousands of products, this is merely a stopping point on their journey from where they were made to a food service outlet. Now, among Jordan's 5,500 customers are a wide variety of food service operations, including restaurants, hotels, hospitals, colleges, and the list goes on. Jordan's fine food products are distributed throughout New England from 3 facilities. This 60,000 square foot plant is located in Westbrook, Maine, just outside of Portland. Bangor, Maine is home to a second plant, also with 60,000 square feet. And the recent addition of this 50,000 square foot plant near Burlington, Vermont was an important move into western New England. The plants are supported by additional sales offices in Laconia, New Hampshire, and the Maine communities of Fairfield and Van Buren. In light of today's tight economic times, one of the biggest concerns for restaurant owners and other food service operators is cost. In turn, this same concern for keeping costs under control is shared among the buyers at Jordan's. They make use of a helpful resource known as ComSource, which happens to be the largest buying group in the food service business. As a member of this powerful cooperative group, Jordan's is able to make some of the best buys possible for their customers. To explain is the Chief Operating Officer of Jordan's Foodservice Division, Dick Giles.
Well, ComSource is the largest buying cooperative in existence, and it's a voluntary cooperative where you purchase a share of stock. It represents $8 billion in purchasing power, and that is larger than the largest national group. We're really what's known as a broad-line distributor, and we would handle just about anything imaginable in food and non-foods. We would have categories like fresh meat, produce. We get into the seafood area. We handle an extensive line of dairy products. We do the non-food products. The list is just endless, really. We carry in this plant about 6,200 items that are all products used in the food service business.
All right, what can I get you?
Computer technology has become the lifeblood of this organization. While in the field, Jordan's salespeople make use of more than 40 laptop computers. Instant access to inventory and pricing information is only part of their benefit. The laptops are updated nightly with data from the home base, such as new products or deleted items, even nutritional information, as well as cooking and serving suggestions. To describe how computer technology has affected the business of food distribution is president of Jordan's plant in Bangor, Fred Rice.
We have a fantastic new tool that we have just given the salespeople to work with. I believe we're one of the first in New England to have it. And it enables them to go out into a customer's place of business, pull up our inventory in the plant, and actually see what we have on hand. In other words, if he wanted a piece of choice prime rib for the weekend, he can look and see what we have on for inventory and commit it right at the customer's place of business and be sure that he has it for that Friday afternoon delivery. We also have the availability to put a computer into our customer's place of business, which would enable him to view the more than 6,000 items that we have in inventory. He wouldn't use the 6,000 items, but it would enable him to develop his own customer list, put in his own order at his own leisure.
Jordan's operates a fleet of nearly 60 trucks, each with the ability to carry frozen, refrigerated, and dry products. The job of routing these trucks would be a logistical nightmare if it weren't for computer technology. To explain is Joe Jordan, grandson of the company's founder.
Well, our main system we use is called the RoadNet system, which is a computerized truck routing system. What we do is we get information from our customers on preferred delivery times, days they want deliveries, and we plug these into the RoadNet system. So previous to us loading our trucks at night, we can see what loads we have to go on what trucks, and if we're not able to make certain customers' time windows, then we'll reroute them or change the sequence that they're on the truck so we can make their delivery times.
Computers have also done more than just reduce overhead.
They save you money to pass on savings to the customers, and they give you one of the key elements of the food distribution business, and that's service to the customers.
Jordan's food service division has a nutritionist on staff. She acts as a consultant for restaurants and other food service operations and may, for example, help select items for a heart-healthy menu. She also plans menus for school lunch programs. Now, once again, we go on location to join our guest at Jordan's headquarters in Portland, Maine, with correspondent Van King.
Chet Jordan, how has the food distribution business changed over the years?
Well, it's changed dramatically in that there are fewer distributors now covering larger geographical areas for a couple of reasons. One is, if I can go back 30 years, refrigeration, 30, 40 years, refrigeration wasn't what it is today. And there seemed to be a distributor in most every small town in northern New England, where now there are many fewer distributors covering larger areas because of the improvement in transportation and refrigeration.
Joe Kelly, given that restaurants have one of the highest mortality rates of any type of business, how does that affect what you do?
First thing that comes to mind, Van, is credit, because credit is a very critical part of that. It's very easy for somebody to go into the restaurant business by leasing a restaurant that's all set up and ready to go with very little in the way of money. It has challenged us to develop a very sophisticated system for credit control. We try to those customers that we have that are credit worthy, and most of our customers are, to give them the terms that they require to handle their business. But in those cases when that doesn't happen and the payment doesn't come in as it should, then we have the capability in our computer systems to bring that to the forefront of our management people, so that from top management down we can be responsive to that and to shut the customer off if that's what absolutely has to take place, but better still to get to the customer early on so that we can settle the credit issue and be able to continue to supply that customer.
Now, Chet, Jordan started out as a processor of meat. How and why did you come to be one of New England's largest food service distributors?
Historically, even my father always liked to be a jobber, if you will, buy other people's products and resell them, primarily because he said if the salesmen, we had pedal trucks then sold our product off the truck. If they sold enough of that product, would pay for the gas and the salesman's salary, and we could sell our product free, if you will. So we were distributors to primarily retail stores then. By the advent of the change in the retail operations, where large supermarkets joined and opened their own warehouse, that market was closed to us. We just shifted our focus to restaurants, hotels, hospitals, and as you know, have been very successful at that. we like the distribution business. I've always been in it.
Well, do you have plans to expand your operations?
We're just a matter of a couple of weeks away from opening an expansion of our plant in Burlington, Vermont, which we're about doubling the size of that plant so that we can serve the people up in that area in the hospitals and the schools and so forth that business has not traditionally been into. We also have on the drawing boards an expansion for our plant in Westbrook, which to add to the freezer there. And we're always looking and talking to a variety of different other distributors that are interested in joining with our efforts. And our philosophy is to try to do that by enlarging the area adjacent to the areas that we now distribute in, so that we just keep enlarging the circle as we go out. And I think over the next few years we will be seeing that circle enlarged so that it becomes encompassing most of New England.
What measures are being taken to include your employees in the company's growth and development?
We have some employees that, and most of our management group have all come up through the ranks. We don't go out and hire people for top positions. We generally try to bring them up through and to give an opportunity to our people.
Our employees have made this company what it is. There's no question. Their contribution to this company is as great as mine. They all contribute. They want to be with a winner, but I think most employees do. It certainly provides for job security when you're with a winner, not a loser. They want us to be a winner, and they show it. They do a great job. We owe them a lot.
What words of advice might you share with an aspiring entrepreneur, someone who's just looking to get into business these days?
Sometimes I'd say stay out, but that's America. It's never easy. First of all, you've got to have desire, and you've got to be able to work, willing to work hard. There's no question. I don't care what level you're at. It requires a lot of work, a lot of goal setting, a lot of sacrifices. There's no question. Without those, you're licked before you start.
Our guests from Jordan's Fine Meat Products have been the company's chairman and chief executive officer, Joseph Chet Jordan, and president and treasurer, Joseph G. Kelly, Jr. We'd like to thank them for sharing their story, and we'd like to thank you for tuning in to this edition of American Spotlight. For Van King on location in Portland, Maine, I'm Dave Saint. So long. This has been a CSTV television production.